So one of the most popular foods on the planet is chocolate, and it also happens to be one of my deep-seated passions. So I'm so lucky because I actually live in Costa Rica, where there is an abundance of cacao. And even better, we actually live in a blue zone where people have profound longevity. And it seems to be that the one food they're eating every day is chocolate. But when I say chocolate, I mean the real thing. These little friends. Chocolate beans, cacao beans. This is chocolate in its untampered, unadulterated form. I like to call it naked chocolate. What is it about this little bean that seems to be adding years to people's lives? Well, I do know that this is actually one of the most amazing dietary sources of minerals, antioxidants, even neurotransmitters, so it helps to improve brain chemistry. So when people say to me, "Oh, I'm so addicted to chocolate," I really believe that they're actually addicted to that much needed burst of minerals, and they're also craving the effect it has on their mood, because it really elevates our mood. So here we have some beautiful cacao ingredients, which are obviously all sourced locally. Cacao butter, we have the cacao powder, we have our cacao beans, we have our beautiful cacao butter, which is, it smells divine. It's so, so sumptuous. You can use it as a moisturizer. But this is what we melt down so it becomes our base for our chocolate. Now, you always want to pop it into a double boiler because you want to slowly, slowly melt it. You don't want to overheat it so as not to damage any of the precious nutrients. So we're just going to pour some into the bowl, ready to make some delicious chocolate. See, this is great. You can make chocolate and you can moisturize at the same time. This is our cacao powder, and this is dark and bitter, and it's 100% cacao. It's completely in its raw state. It hasn't been heated, unlike all types of commercial chocolate bars, so it has all its nutrients intact. And the idea is you just want to make a really lovely thick chocolate sauce. Now, the indigenous people here, this is how they make their chocolate. They literally use the cacao butter and the powder. And they call their chocolate sin azúcar, which means without sugar. However, I've tried it and it is sweet. But I think what they mean is it's without processed sugar, because they use honey to sweeten their chocolate. So that's what we're going to use today. And we're going to use our beautiful wild raw honey. And honey, by the way, is another amazing longevity food because it's packed full of nutrients, packed full of enzymes, and it just works perfectly with chocolate. They absolutely love each other. Chocolate is a great platform for other foods because it has a synergistic effect on other ingredients. It sort of potentiates the action of other very nutritious things. So the honey and the chocolate they'll bring out the best in each other. I'm just going to put a little bit more in, just to thicken it up a little bit more. Now this is local Costa Rican vanilla, and it's vanilla extract. That's quite strong actually, it's delicious. We're going to put about a teaspoon of vanilla extract in and give it another good stir. Now, when you want to sweeten your chocolate, you can obviously use whatever sweetener you like. I like to use low glycemic index sweeteners. Another sweetener that I absolutely love that works very well with chocolate is coconut. Here I have some coconut nectar. Now this is the food of the gods, quite literally. It is the sugar from the coconut. And obviously coconut and chocolate, they're the best of friends also. They grow very closely together in tropical environments. And coconut sugar is also a wonderful, wonderful sugar to add to chocolate. You can buy coconut sugar in any kind of health food store. And then the final ingredient is, of course, salt. Salt is in every type of chocolate bar you've ever had, because salt is just so important to cut through the sweetness of the chocolate. Now, I'm going to be quite generous on my salt because I like to have a little bit of kick of salt in the back of my chocolate. And this is beautiful Costa Rican local salt, unrefined, all unrefined salt. Any salt that's local to you is perfect for your chocolate. That honey is divine. That honey's worked beautifully. But we definitely need a little bit more. We need to sweeten it a fraction more because probably, no doubt, my kiddies will be eating this later. And a tiny bit more salt. So this is, do you see how easy this is to make the best, most divine chocolate ever? Now, so this is how the locals eat their chocolate. But today we're just going to luxuriate our chocolate a little bit more, and we're going to add one of my favourite ingredients, which is lucuma. Now, lucuma is this, it's actually a fruit, and it's a very sweet fruit. They powder down into this beautiful caramelly powder. And it's like caramel. It's like caramel. It's got a little bit of maple in it. It's divine. So we're going to add about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more, maybe like one or two tablespoons of lucuma. And this also helps to blend the chocolate into a much creamier consistency. So the thing with chocolate, it's all about your palate. You have to make everything to taste. So I think this will probably be, yes, we're almost there. We need a tiny bit more chocolate, another teaspoon or so. So I've probably used a whole cup of cacao butter, half a cup of cacao powder, a couple of tablespoons of honey, a couple of tablespoons of lucuma, good pinch of salt, and some delicious vanilla. That's dark and rich, but it's also got enough sweetness to cut through it. It's perfect. So all you need to do now is just to pour it into some Tupperware and pop it in the fridge, and within an hour it'll be ready. And look at this, it's absolutely divine. And then there you have it. This is your pure sin azúcar cacao, and it's packed full of God and Goddess energy. I'm actually going to flourish mine a little bit more because no doubt my kiddies will be eating this later, and they absolutely love fruit and nut bars. So I'm going to add some almonds and raisins, and I'm just going to sprinkle the chocolate, just flourish it a little. It also, I love making chocolate pretty. So we have all this cacao butter left here, and that's because we're actually going to make some more chocolate, and we're going to make some white chocolate, which I actually call my lover's chocolate. Because even though dark chocolate is sort of sexy and exciting, the white chocolate is just more gentle and loving, and it's actually a little bit softer and gentler on the palate. Now this recipe I actually learned from a local here. I actually said, do you eat white chocolate? And he said, yes. I said, well, how do you make it? And he said, marignon. And marignon means cashews, and I thought, well, that makes perfect sense because cashews are beautiful and creamy when they're blended. So I've milled down some cashews. Probably we're going to use about half a cup of cashews. And this is perfect to give it that creamy, milky texture. So there's absolutely no need to use dairy in this. We're going to use a little bit of sweetener, obviously. I'm actually going to use both my coconut nectar and my honey, just because, not too much coconut nectar because I don't want to throw the colour off. I want to keep it nice and white. We're going to put in a couple of tablespoons of honey. And then one of the most important ingredients in all white chocolate is vanilla. So we have some beautiful fresh vanilla here. So you want to use the pod, and you want to use the fresh vanilla bean and vanilla extract. And just don't worry about going over the top with this because vanilla just brings out the flavour in white chocolate. And vanilla also makes perfect sense because vanilla is, again, another aphrodisiac. In fact, in mythology, vanilla and cacao were divine lovers, which I love. And somebody told me that they'd actually seen wild orchid vanilla growing amongst the cacao plantation, which I just thought was so beautiful. So we're going to put maybe 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. This is going to be so delicious. So this is a lovely chocolate to make for a gift, a Valentine's gift maybe. Because the essence of chocolate has always been the gift for all lovers. And going back to the brain chemistry I was talking about earlier, chocolate, one of the reasons it has such an amazing effect on our mood is because of all the neurotransmitters. So what we have in this chocolate is we have we have tons of phenylethylamine, which is PEA, which is elevated when you're in love. And it's actually known as the love chemical. And then you've got tons of anandamide, which you get in your cacao butter, which is actually an endogenous cannabinoid, which is naturally occurring in the brain, and chocolate is packed full of it. And of course, there's tons of tryptophan, which is an amino acid, and that's a precursor to serotonin, which makes us feel relaxed and kind of content. And so you've got bliss, you've got joy, you're relaxed. I mean, could you be eating a better food? That's delicious. It does just need to be a little bit more milky, so I'm going to add probably another couple of tablespoons of cashew nuts. Now you can of course use ground almonds, but this will change the flavour slightly. It'll make it a little bit more like an almond white chocolate. We definitely need some salt. Now salt is more important when to add to white chocolate, because white chocolate is obviously a lot thicker, it's a lot creamier, it can be a lot sweeter, and sometimes it can be a tiny bit cloying. So you want to cut through that sweetness with the salt. That's delicious. The other interesting thing I read was about the Aztec Emperor Montezuma, who came after the Mayan civilization, when chocolate was a major big deal. You know, they were obsessed with their chocolate. It was currency. It was very sacred. Now, he used to drink 50 cups of hot chocolate before he visited a harem. And that actually makes perfect scientific sense, because chocolate has a very high amount of the amino acid arginine, which has been shown to increase blood flow to the sexual organs. There is no doubt that chocolate is a food for lovers. Now, I actually like to put this in a blender. That's delicious. I'm going to put a bit more vanilla. I just love vanilla. Vanilla is one of my favourite ingredients ever, especially in chocolate. I'm going to pop this in a blender so we've got no lumps and bumps. And now we're just going to pour it into some more Tupperware. And I like this chocolate when it's actually quite thin. So it's almost like it's sort of not a wafer, but it's a little bit thicker than a wafer. This is just one of my favourite treats. So I'm now just going to slightly decorate my lover's chocolate, because I just think the background, this white creamy background, looks so beautiful offset against a little bit of colour. I'm just going to use some beautiful plump red goji berries and some dark brown cacao nibs. We just want to pop this in the fridge for about half an hour. So here we have it, chocolate in its purest and most decadent form, made and eaten as nature intended. That is delicious. So this is packed full of an array of valuable nutrients. So this isn't just an upgrade in flavour, but also in our health, and of course, potential longevity.